Okay, we are live. We are live. Aloha. We are live and direct from Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome to M3 Power Collabs. I'm your host, Mike Dillard. Today, we actually have a special guest host all the way from the UK, Miss EJ McDougall. EJ, how we doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is my sister from another mother. EJ is amazing. Y'all gonna love EJ, right? So for those of you that are not familiar with M3, M3 stands for Mindset Matters Most. Boom. Okay. So we're gonna do without further ado, we're gonna turn it over to EJ. EJ, weren't you something like you gotta forgive me, right? I kind of know your bio, right? What did you do? You were at the BBC, right?
I was, yes, I officially started off as an employee in 2012, and
Yeah.
then I made the decision to leave in 2020, last year,
Wow.
November last
Wow.
year. Yes, it was a big part of my identity, but God had other plans. So I took the
Right.
step and I left the BBC. Yeah, I was a radio producer there. And it was, I loved it. I loved it so much. I was so passionate about what we were doing.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah,
Wow. Well, anybody that knows you knows that you are a very gifted and passionate speaker. You're brilliant, right? So
thank you.
anything with communication, I see on your LinkedIn it says communication is your superpower, right?
Yes. I put that on
That is
recently.
you.
I put that on a couple of days ago because, yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I just felt, I need to make, I need to make LinkedIn feel. I think you are probably part of the inspiration for that because I usually do not turn up to LinkedIn at all, and then I get
Oh yeah.
notifications that say Mike Dillard has mentioned you or something like. Oh, I'm gonna go have a look at LinkedIn, and I had a look and I thought that entire profile did not talk about me at all, so I decided to
Mm,
jazz it up a bit. Yeah.
nice. And it was so perfect, right? So we're gonna change things up just a little bit, right? So do me a favor. Let's talk about your nonprofit, right? You are amazing. And this is why I'm always tagging you all over the place because you're doing an amazing work on the planet and people should know what you're doing so they can support you, right?
So I founded an organization called the Kairos Initiative, and if I'm being honest, sometimes I can't believe that I did that. But I set it up, and every time I'm asked a question about the Kairos Initiative, the first thing I like to just get off my chest and to tell everybody, full disclosure, I set up that organization out of survivor's guilt
Mm,
because I was one of the lucky ones. So you can probably hear from my accent, I am a Nigerian. I haven't always lived in the UK. I came to the UK as an adult, and in the northeastern part of Nigeria where I was born and where I grew up, suddenly it became very chaotic. Suddenly my childhood, it felt like, was stripped away because from age 8 we started to have um, I was trying to think of a sensitive way of saying it, but the brutal, honest truth is, from age 8, we started to have what I call killing sprees, where people were killed if they had a different belief, if they had a different religion. So we suddenly had a rise of extremists in that part of the world. And every week, you hear somebody's house has been burned, or a church was set on fire, and all that kind of stuff. So that is
mm,
why I set up the Kairos Initiative, because I've been lucky enough to move out of northeastern Nigeria. I cannot
yeah.
then forget the people who are currently going through what I've had to witness and my family's had to go through simply because they do not have the same beliefs as a certain group of people.
Right. Wow. So 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 your organization, so you actually who is your target group? Who exactly do you focus on helping out? Oh, and so it's in Nigeria.
Yes, so it's people in northeastern Nigeria specifically because if you've ever, some people are aware of a group called Boko Haram, and
Yeah.
Boko Haram are an extremist group, and the hub of their power, their home, is in the northeast. They have gone through several villages and destroyed them, and those villages will never be rebuilt again. The people that
Yeah.
they have killed, hundreds of thousands of people, they have displaced children. So, in terms of who my beneficiaries are, we're
Yeah.
just focusing on the Northeast. So sometimes at the moment, we are looking after new moms because it's such a conservative society. You have children of 16, 17 years old, married, having babies from very, very poor families, and in
Right.
hospital. We haven't got free healthcare or insurance. We haven't got any of that structure in place. So they come maybe because they couldn't have the baby at home because they were having complications. They get dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot pay the hospital bills, so they're not
Yeah.
allowed to leave the hospital. But while they're staying in the hospital, they're incurring more and more bills for the bed. So,
Right.
so
Right.
it's a mess. The system is not working. So currently, those are the people we're supporting. We're paying their medical bills when they have babies, making sure the babies are registered and getting whatever inoculations that they need.
Yeah.
Last year, we were looking after an orphanage with 50 children, making sure they had education material. Food was, they were eating gruel, just, I don't know how to
Mm.
describe it, maize, corn starch with some salt in it, basically, was what they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
eating. So we went in there, changed their diet. We took some doctors because I have a team that I've put together very strategically. So we have some
Mm.
doctors over there who pay the orphanage visits from time to time, make sure they're doing all right.
Yeah.
Currently, as well, we are clothing street kids. So we're making them new outfits,
Fantastic.
which is, for me, really exciting because nobody usually looks at those children, as anything of value. So all of
Right.
a sudden,
Right.
they're going
Right.
to have brand new clothes, brand new shoes, and they're going to feel like somebody is thinking about them.
That's fantastic. And this is why listen, I always tell EJ, you could say if I'm not saying it right, I always tell her like, man, you are doing a great work of God on this planet. And like whatever I can do to help you. I mean, so when
Thank,
I knew I was gonna start this show, I'm like, you know what? EJ is either gonna be like my first guest host, she's gonna be the second because you are amazing. More people need
thank
to know
you.
about you.
Thank
So
you so
please,
much. Thank
at the
you.
end of the show, we're gonna talk about her different social media handles and where you guys can follow her, how best you can provide support if you want to donate to the charity or maybe even fly out there, and help yourself.
That'd be
That's one of the
great.
things I'm
Yeah.
hoping here is fly out there and help myself. I don't just want to send money, right? So on that note, what we're gonna do, I mean, basic format for the show, y'all that have watched before, the show always talks where it's business innovators and micro influencers, which EJ is both actually, right? And they're gonna share their stories of struggle, right? Success and then strategy. So what we're gonna do right now is EJ, I need you to take us back to a moment, because we see you now, you're all glammed up and whatnot, but there was a time, right? So take us back to a moment when you were in the struggle, something you might say even defined you, if you will. Okay.
So
So
I moved to this
I
country.
moved.
The first time I came here on my own, so apart from holidays, the first time I came to the UK was as a 22-year-old who had just finished university. The world was my oyster. I came here to expand my horizons, as my mother said. And cut the long story short, it was for a 6-month period as a volunteer. And then I came back.
Hmm.
I came back because I met someone, and that relationship turned into quite a dangerous situation. So here I am, now 24, now in a country that I know nobody. The only
Yeah.
people are from church, because when I initially came, it was through a church. All my dreams completely smashed. I had
Hmm.
absolutely no confidence anymore. I grew up
Yeah.
quite happy. I have a stable family. My mom and dad love each other. They love us. So the example that I had did not resonate with what my life had become.
Right.
So one specific night, I was sitting outside because I had just had somebody's hands around my neck, and I felt like I would have died that night, but for the grace of God. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm outside because I'm thinking, where am I going to sleep this night? I haven't got a job. I haven't got a penny to my name. I don't even have credit on my phone. And I'm sitting outside. There's nobody for me to call. Even if there were, I have no credit to call them. I don't know where to go, what to do.
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing I remember, and I remember telling this to someone a few years later, and something that used to say often was, I'd look into my future and I couldn't see anything. Just complete
That's
nothing. Just, could not see anything. As a child, I had grand dreams. I was going to do this and I was going to do that. And I was one of those
right.
children who, despite the environment in which we grew up, despite, growing up in a place where every time there's a riot or where our house is in danger of being burned and all, despite that, actually had quite a comfortable childhood because I had safety that my parents created. I had the home that my parents created. So I had some really big dreams. But here I am sitting outside, nothing, with no idea whatsoever what to do next. So I think that was the lowest time. Added on to that,
Mm.
I was lucky because I mean, you've probably had you've had interactions with Nigerians, and anybody who leaves the country is seen as, oh, you're so lucky, wow, she lives abroad, she lives in the UK now, therefore,
Mm-hmm.
the streets are paved with gold and all that money that falls from trees, she's okay. So I
right.
couldn't, I felt too guilty to even feel like I just was completely boxed in. I cannot
Yeah.
complain because after all, I'm in the UK. The rest of my friends were not so lucky to be able to leave the country. Here I am now in the UK and I'm complaining. But then when I look at my circumstances in the UK, I'm sitting on some pavement outside at night with nothing to my name and nobody to call.
That's I've been, people know my story, right? I've been in some very low places, and that totally resonates with me because, you grow up in a loving household. There's certain expectations, there's certain standards, and, you're really not ready for the other stuff
No,
because in a sense we were sheltered, right? So, I mean, you had no idea that was going to hit you like that,
no,
right? So
no,
now you find yourself on the concrete, on the pavement, and somebody had just been physically abusive to you, and you're like, my gosh, right? So what I want to know is, first of all, I'm grateful that you are alive today, right? uh the enemy definitely failed in the approach to take you out and kill you, because he already understood you have big things for the Lord to do, right, in this world. So I'm glad to call you my sister. And so like I said earlier, we see you now, right? It's like, oh, it's EJ, right? I mean, you're doing these talks, and people all over the world are here, and they love this woman. Is a powerful storyteller. Let me tell you. You could probably, just from this a few minutes, you can probably tell this, right? So how did you get from sitting on the concrete, on the pavement, to going to be a radio producer at the BBC, starting this international nonprofit, this charity? I mean, doing the speaking, everything. How'd you go from that to this? Because I know people want to know, right?
okay. So first of all, about the BBC.
Yeah.
I started this because I'm looking for a job and I don't know how, it's a completely different culture. I grew up in
Right.
Nigeria where things are a certain way. But then here I am, I speak and people say they do not understand what I'm saying because I've got a Nigerian accent. My accent hasn't changed. This is how I've always spoken since I was a
Yeah.
child. But I'm thinking,
Uh-huh.
I thought I spoke quite clearly. Oh no, it's a bit, sorry, I don't understand. So the
Oh,
entire
come on.
culture
Uh,
the entire culture for me was just adapting was more difficult than I thought it would be. But then I started to Anywhere I would find a free newspaper, I'll go straight to where I could, where they advertise jobs.
Yeah.
And I saw an advert for, they were looking for 15 people who were unemployed in the northwest region of England,
Mm-hmm.
come and do some radio production course. Now in
Yeah.
Nigeria, after university, you have to do national service. And for my national
Right.
service, I was so fortunate because other people get sent to really deep, dark villages but there's no electricity and stuff. But me,
Right.
I was so fortunate. For my national service, I was a
Uh,
TV presenter and I was a news reporter. So I thought
okay.
radio, I can do radio. I think I can do radio, no problem. I
Right. Right.
applied thinking, but they only want 15 people though. So I just applied anyway, did my best with it.
Mhm.
I got picked for this radio production course, which at least was something for me to do during the day. At the
Right.
end of the course, it was just for about 15 weeks. Now, at this point, sometimes I'll get a cleaning job here, or I'll get a data
Mhm.
entry job there for a couple of weeks. So from week
Right.
to week, I would have some money. So one day I dressed up. I wore a very smart tailored outfit, got on the train because I knew I live near Liverpool in the UK. So I knew the
Okay.
BBC. BBC, I've walked past it before. I don't know Liverpool well, but I'm going to get on the train and I'm going to find the BBC and I'm going to ask them for a job. I said all
Mm-hmm.
of this was I was just talking to myself. Before this, I had said to the pastor who knew me from Nigeria, is a British guy who has come to Nigeria several times. He knows my
Mm-hmm.
family, he knows where I've come from. And he's the one time he offered me a cleaning job, around the church. So I'm cleaning. And he goes, how are you doing, by the way? Yeah, I'm struggling a bit, but I'll be okay. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that husband of yours and stuff. How are you guys getting on? I said, well, it's still a violent situation that I'm in. I've got nowhere else to go. Right, right, right. And work, have you been able to find a job? No, not yet. But I'm thinking I'm going to go to the BBC. I want to work for the BBC. And he burst out laughing. Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
this is the guy at the church.
Yes, he burst out laughing. And I thought, why is he laughing? And he goes,
Right.
oh, we can all dream, can't we? Like, come on, get realistic. Because I'm cleaning, and he's giving me a cleaning job that I should be grateful for, and which I was. So
Mm-hmm.
how can somebody like you cannot achieve something like that? That's the way it felt to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so this day I go to the BBC, automatic doors, and I say to the receptionist, looking for a job. And she's looking at me like, that's not how it's done. I said, well, there must be somebody here who I can talk to. And she goes, the jobs are advertised online and they come from London. It's like a central. I said, surely there is somebody here. You must have,
Okay.
I don't know, somebody who I can talk to. So she starts to laugh as well. And she says, okay, here's the email address for the assistant editor of the radio station.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you very much. I go back home, stealing the Wi-Fi from, because I lived above a cafe, and stealing the Wi-Fi, my laptop that my mommy gave me as a present, and I typed this, dear sir, you know,
Uh-huh.
um, I believe that I will be a good fit for your organization, and I typed this very formal ha 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 ha, and he must have laughed as well because it's like this is not how we give jobs. This is not what happens. But he replies and he goes, "Thank you for sending me an email. Would you like to come in for a chat?" And again, I dress for the position that I want, and I
Mm-hmm.
go to the BBC. I meet him. I think he wanted to see what does this person look like. Who sent me this email?
Got it.
So there I am talking to him, and
Uh-huh.
I'm talking to him. He's taking me around the station. You can tell that he's fascinated. He's really fascinated, and I'm telling him about who I am, where I've come from, and what I believe I
Uh-huh.
can do here for the BBC. He goes, "Have you worked for
Yeah.
radio before?" No, but I can, I can do it. So he goes, "Okay, this is not how we give jobs, and we have work experience. I can offer you 2 weeks
Yeah.
work experience, and at least you put that on your CV. I said, I'll take whatever you've got. So he goes,
Yeah.
but we have a waiting list, it's 2 to 3 month long waiting list. I said, that's absolutely fine. I will continue to remind you not to forget me. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
I go home feeling, well, I don't know if that was successful or not, but at least I had a day out.
Right.
And then 2 days later, they send me an email to come in because they have space miraculously for 2 weeks work experience. So I go
Mm.
there and everybody's looking at me like, oh, hello. I must say, where I live is not the most diverse of places. Okay, so it's near Liverpool, but in the town where I actually live, I am usually, most of the time, the only black person around. So at work, the only
Mm.
black person in church, that kind of. So I
Uh-huh.
and I'm quite tall as well, so I kind of stand out. So I march into the BBC for my first day of work experience. And they say, do you know how to use a recorder? I hadn't seen the recorder. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I can figure it out. And I'm looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to figure this out? And then they say, well, you need to go to a Vox Pop. The buses are on strike and we need a Vox Pop, interview people how they're coping without the public transport. You need to go to Queen Square. Queen Square?
Mm.
You know where Queen Square is? I'm sure I can find it. Don't worry. I come back. Do you know how to edit? Now, I've done this radio production course, so I know how to edit, but I don't know how to
Yeah.
use their software. So anyway, I'm learning on the job, but my determination, what I was planning to do was to blow their socks off. Was, I might not be able to do this now, but I want you to see
Right.
me work. I want you to see me apply myself, and I want you to see me
Mm-hmm.
be teachable. I want you to see me learn. So I do all that. My 2 weeks comes and goes brilliantly. They say to me, we don't have any paid work, but we don't have anybody who comes in on a Sunday to do, would you want to be our Sunday reporter? Yeah, I can do that. Not like I
Mm-hmm.
got a job anyway, so I'm coming in every Sunday. Then they
Right.
say, oh, do you know that there is a show for the Black community, don't you? Have you basically cut the long story short? I started going to volunteer for the show for the Black community. Eventually, the job is advertised. I apply. Lots of
Yeah.
people apply. I get the job. But I have to say, Mike, BBC, as much as it was part of my identity, was only ever, for all the time, was only ever a part-time job. So I eventually got a job as a civil servant. I started as a messenger. So while I'm a messenger during the week
Mm-hmm.
in in the job center, during the weekend I'm a radio producer. But now today I am a HR expert for our revenue and customs office.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. So hold on. I just gotta. So you're there. What I want to know is what made you just be like, I'm gonna throw this slamming outfit on and I'm gonna go down to the BBC. Like what triggered that?
My parents. So my mother has this saying: remember who and whose you are. Remember
Mm.
who and whose you are. And my father is a bit of an orator himself. So
Okay.
when he starts to talk to me and tell me, do you remember? Do you remember when you sang on stage and everybody stood up to clap? Do you remember when you were a little girl and you this? Where is my baby girl gone? What is this I'm looking
Mm.
at? Because I let myself go completely. My hair's all over the place. I just looked a mess. So I had voices that I could trust. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody is that lucky, but there were times when I did not want to hear my mom and dad because I felt my life was just such a disappointment. From the
Right.
small town that we live in, from the small town we live in, my mom and dad, they work in the university, everybody knows everybody. And wow,
Mm-hmm.
EJ lives abroad now. I was such a disappointment. But one thing that I had built in me, I see myself as like a battle axe. Just keep hacking, 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 hacking,
I
and
love it. I love
that's
it.
my attitude. So I'm like this because if I stop, what is the alternative? I stop and
Right.
die. I stop and just like sit there, give up. And that doesn't work for me. So I don't know how to give up. I don't know what giving up, because for me, giving up, what does that mean? When people say, "Oh, don't give up," and of course I'm not going to give up. I've got no alternative. I don't know what that means. So, like, even when I was looking for a job during those BBC times while I was a volunteer, I would sit at my
Mhm.
computer, and not everybody's able to do this. I do appreciate that, but it mattered. I needed a job. I needed to earn something.
Right.
So I was applying. There was a time where I was applying for up to 100 jobs a day. It became a
Wow.
habit. It became a habit. Other people go on their laptops. And for me, and you know, Mike, I still do that today. I just randomly
Yeah.
go and see what jobs are available because
I
I had
believe
to
it.
apply for so many jobs. And the people, when I was a messenger, and when I went up to, I think what was an admin officer, the
Yeah.
people
Okay.
who the people who I, open plan office, and some people were not very kind, because how dare you come to our country and be ambitious? How dare you want to be more than this? That was the attitude.
Mhm.
How, because there's a whole thing, immigrant, I'm an immigrant, my
Yeah.
face doesn't
Yeah.
fit. Wherever I go, I have no choice because of what part of the world I'm in. I
Mhm.
stand out whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I
Yeah.
might as well stand out for the right reasons. I might as
Oh my
well,
goodness.
I'm not going to, I'm visible, whether I want to be visible or not. So
Right.
I'm going to make sure that I'm visible for the right reasons. I'm going to show my parents, I'm going to show the people who love me, I'm going to show the people, I'm going to show myself that I am
Mhm.
more than this. And I'm going to, I did not come here. Like when you have a calling on your life, when you have, there's something about you. Maybe everybody feels that. I don't know. Does everybody have that feeling? I feel like there is something about me,
Right.
and I would be dishonoring myself not to figure out
Mhm.
what it is God has sent me to the UK for, what it is God
Right.
has kept me alive for. I wasn't the healthiest of children growing up. I had some health issues and everything, but God kept me. There must have been a reason why I'm still here.
Right. Right. So let me just jump in right quick. So this is what this show is all about, man. I love it. Mindset matters most. That's it. No matter what your color is, your religion, your sex, what matters is your mindset. So two big things. Two, this camera. One day I'm gonna get this camera right. Two big things that I'm hearing from you. One, you had and you still have what I call a never give up mindset. It's like, you know what? It's not even an option. It's not an option to quit. So you're like, what is there is no option. Of course I'm gonna keep going for it until that is the only option. You can't fail if that's your mindset. Because you don't
Yeah.
accept failure, right? And then also I hear you saying that, you had the support, you had positive support and a sense of purpose. Yeah. And you know what? I was just on a live yesterday with some friends of mine, and it was like a psychology show. And there, the question always comes up about, nature versus nurture and the mind and this and that. And I'm like, wow, this is what you just said was brilliant. And the thing that came up was about purpose, and I know I had that since I was a little kid. I always felt like I was a royal and I got to do these amazing things in the world. And so when I hit my hard times, that was one of the things that really helped me to not succumb and just give up to it, because something on the inside was like, no, this doesn't line up with what I feel inside. There is a way out. I'm gonna pray, God, just help me, please. There has to be a way. And
Yeah.
that's what I hear you saying too, right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump, because I try and keep this to 30 minutes, but you know what? Your life is so juicy. It's like, man, we can just go on and on. We're gonna have some more. You're gonna be back some more, right? No doubt about that. So
Thank
what we're
you.
gonna do right here is let's if there was one thing, EJ, that you could share with people around the world, whether they're gonna be a business owner or they want to do a nonprofit, or it's just, hey, I want to speak to the young women out there, whoever that is, what would you share with them?
Knock on that
Knock
door.
on that door. Mm.
Just do it.
Just
Take the first step. Just honestly. So my BBC example is that I just went to BBC and asked for a job. And at the end of the day, my story is that I was a BBC producer for over 8 years. Okay. But what about, what email have you not sent? You know, what person have you not approached because of whatever your mindset is in regard to that? So for me now, okay, I want to be a speaker. I want to tell my story. Okay, so what's the first step in that? You know, whatever your dream is, take about the rest. Just take the next step. Don't worry about, oh my goodness, this dream is too big. Oh my word. Oh, how is this going to happen? It sounds impossible. Oh, little old me. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about any
Right.
of that. Just take the next step. Sometimes the next step is maybe writing your idea down. Sometimes the next step is sending an email to someone to say, hi, I'm just wondering, can I have a chat with you? I did something similar recently. I did one of these talks, these Facebook Lives, and I was sitting
Yeah.
there thinking it was a talk on Black Lives Matter. So I sent an email to Black Lives Matter in the UK, to the organization here in the UK. And I said I
Yeah.
did a live Facebook thing about Black Lives Matter. Would you watch it? And before I know it, I'm featured on Black Lives Matter website. Why? Because I sent an email. The charity, I'm thinking I have so many people in Nigeria that I need to
Mm.
help. There are too many people. It's keeping me up at night. And I know the right thing to do is to put a structure in place where I can help as many as possible. So what did I do? I go on the internet, the charity commissions in the UK, and I just take the very next immediate step. I couldn't see the big charity. I didn't know how it was going to happen. And because I took the first step, they told me, oh, it takes 40 days. Wait 40 working days, and then
Mhm.
you will get an answer as to whether you've been approved or not. Mike, I got an approval in 24 hours.
I love it.
Just take the next step. And if you take
Yeah.
the next step and the next step doesn't pay off, then take the next one. Just do the next right thing and leave the rest. Just do the just the next immediate small step you need to take. That's all you need
Mm.
to do.
That's it.
Can I add
That's
one
it.
more thing? One more
Absolutely.
thing.
Please. Absolutely. Come on now.
Okay. When I was a child, and I tell the story so many times, but I think it's so important. When I was between 3 to 4, 5 years old, I had no doubt in the world that I was the most beautiful thing God created. There was just no doubt. It's just, I'm the most beautiful person, creature in the world. And
Right. Right.
I'd go to school and I think about it and I laugh because sometimes I would have that posture like I'm walking, you know, I am the most beautiful girl in the world. Not in a haughty way, but just
Mm-hmm.
I had that confidence. And there's this girl I could never forget who is strikingly beautiful. And I'd look at her
Mm.
and think, she's so beautiful. But imagine how much more beautiful I am because I am the
I love
most
it.
beautiful girl in the world. Now, Mike,
Uh,
when I was in university, I was going through some old pictures
mhm.
and I saw myself at that age and I burst out laughing. And my friend said, Why are you laughing? I said, I wasn't even one of those cute kids. I was not
Mm.
beautiful at age 3 at all. I was one of those awkward looking toddlers.
Yeah.
So why on earth? I kept thinking, why on earth did I believe? Because I remember this picture. Why on earth did I believe that I was the most beautiful girl in the world? My goodness, look at those teeth. I was thinking, it got me thinking, why did
uh,
I believe? I believed that because my parents told me that I was the most beautiful girl in the world. I had the
mm.
loudest voice up here
Yeah.
was what made me thank God they didn't say the opposite to me because I would have believed that as well. But then I'm
Right.
growing up and then I enter relationships where somebody says to me, you're a liability, your life is inconsequential. And I believe
Mm.
that as well. And then you go, through different, or I have a manager who says, you're just no good. And I realized, hang on, it's a conscious decision who you allow to be the
Yes.
loudest voice up in here. The
Right,
moment I
right.
realized this is a conscious decision, it's a conscious choice who I allow to be the loudest voice is the most freeing thing. So, which is why now people's opinions, unless I have given you the power to be a voice up in here, you can say whatever you want. So
Yep.
when I talk about my dream, when I talk about
Mhm.
what I want to do,
Mhm.
your opinion of my dream actually does not matter, because unless I let it up here and here, it's not making any impact. And I think
Yep.
people need to realize that it's a conscious choice. You can choose what you let to sink in. It's a conscious choice.
Again, man, I love it, EJ. That's what I'm talking about. Mindset matters most. It doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to undermine anyone's circumstances, right? I've been there. I was homeless. I'm selling plasma and doing all I'm saying to get some food. Like, I get it. But what got me out of that situation, besides my faith in God, was I learned somebody gave me some motivational tapes and I started listening. I never knew that I could control my mind. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean these thoughts that are in my head, I can actually control that? I don't
Yeah.
have to just go with whatever feeling or thought. My life just, boom, it just changed. It took off. So it's funny how, and we're coming to a close here, but it's funny how I talk to people all over the world, just like you, right? And this is a common denominator that you can see among people. And I don't mean like wicked people that done, shady backhand stuff to climb to the top. I'm talking about upright people, decent people, and they managed to climb out of the pit they was in and they get to the top. It's like, that's a very common thread. Do you notice that also?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Did you want me to comment on that? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Listen. I have guest hosts. I just want to say this, right? So you're not feeling like anxious about the time. Like people that come on my show, they are a guest host. You are a special guest host, so you're gonna have some
Oh,
special
thank you.
time. We're not gonna go
Thank
an
you.
hour because people trying to watch it, but
Nah, come on
we,
now.
we
Nobody wants to be watching this for an hour. Not my face on for an hour.
they would watch you for an hour. They
Oh,
might watch me 45 minutes. They would watch EJ for an hour, right? So
thank
please, say
you.
some more. Yeah, let's hear some feedback.
Sorry, what was your question again? I
Yeah,
got
so the
carried
question
away.
is, so like it's the mindset. Do you notice like as you talk to different people, doesn't matter what country they're in, their culture, whatnot, like the people that have risen to the top, you'll notice they have the same type of mindset.
Absolutely, absolutely. Without a doubt, you can see sometimes when you see people in a certain situation and you feel sorry for them. Sometimes
Mhm.
you can tell who will come out of that situation. You can tell for those who this is not going to last long. I see
Yeah.
where your mind is at. I see your approach, your mental approach to this. You'll be
Hmm.
fine. You'll be fine. But then I see other people who wallow. And I mean, I don't want to disregard people's struggles. I don't want to disregard the fact that certain trauma in your life can actually stunt your growth. I know that
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there.
Hmm.
But there is such a freeing, it's so freeing. And it seems like such a simple message. But not many people get it. You decide, make a decision, irrespective of your current circumstances. Your current circumstances might be horrible, but I say to people, what I always say to people is sit down and daydream. Daydream. Do you know what? It makes you feel better. So I'm happy
It
to just
does.
sit down and, at the moment I'm thinking, oh my goodness, do you know what I would really like? I've got 2 children now. At the kind of house I would like my children to grow up in. I mean, we've got our house is okay, it's decent. Um,
Right.
But, just what, because I know what I grew up in and I know what my dreams were. So I just
Hmm.
daydream. So I say to people, if you are down, if you're feeling so depressed, if you're feeling, you're going through the most difficult time in your life, that's
Hmm.
okay. Daydream. It shifts, it does. I mean, apart from prayer, obviously, but
Right.
daydream, honestly.
Because you
because
know
it gets
what?
you talking different.
No. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. I was just gonna
No,
piggyback on what you said, but go ahead.
I can see comments, that's why. And I've just seen a really lovely I didn't realize I could see comments. And Lazarus Lawson says, I'd watch for an hour and rewind it and assign it as a mandatory education.
You know what? For some reason, I'm not getting
Thank
text.
you.
That's you know what? That's Sequoia. I was telling you earlier, and she is like, "Oh my
Oh,
God, she is beautiful."
oh,
That's my sister Sequoia right there, right?
thank you so
So
much. Thank you.
for some reasons, I don't know why the comments disappeared. They were
Oh,
there, and now I'm not getting any. But you can see
oh,
them, huh?
I can see them. I can see them. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
well, we'll work the bugs out. But no. But what I was saying. Oh, now I see her. There you go. There she's like, oh, let me check. There
Yeah,
you
there you
go. Okay.
go.
Yeah, so that's so powerful what you're saying though, right? And I love that, right? I love that because that is really what's gonna move it. It's almost like, you know what, when you have that mindset, that belief, it's like you're at a low place, things are bad, you're meditating, really meditating in the sense of like you're focused on those problems. You know what happens? Nothing. It doesn't solve the problems. It never does. So I went through this. I was on a submarine one time that I was, a Navy guy. And I remember I was going through some challenging things in my family. And I was just really, really down. And it just occurred to me, it's like, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if I sit here and worry and focus on all this bad stuff. You know what? I'm a daydream. I'll be shining them pipes. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have my Maserati one day.
Yeah.
I'll be doing this.
Yeah.
It's a dream. But
Amazing.
it picks you
Awesome.
up. It picks you up out of that spot. I mean, science shows, your brain is emitting different chemicals, but there's something that's so powerful, which is intangible, but it's one of the most powerful forces on the planet, and that is hope. Right?
Oh, yes.
When you daydream, it produces hope. That's the offspring of a dream, is hope. And when you have hope, the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. But if you have hope, you just keep going. And like EJ is like, I'm just gonna keep hitting it and keep hitting it and keep hitting it. It's like that is what it takes. And you know what? Then the doors will open. But most people, they won't do that. And so they don't see the doors open. They look at you and they're like, oh, you're so lucky. How'd you get there? And it's like, no, it's not that I'm lucky. You don't understand. I just didn't give up.
Yeah.
I kept dreaming. I didn't listen to what other people were saying. It's like, let me filter that. Do I assign power to you? Or you got to consider the source, right? You're a naysayer. You're out of here. You're out of here. I'm not listening to that. I know what I know, and I'm gonna keep going, right?
Absolutely that.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and end this here. But oh my goodness, this is so I knew this was gonna be fire because I know you, right? So I was like, okay, will you come back for another episode in the future?
I would love to. I would absolutely love. I've really enjoyed having a good conversation with you, Mike. I mean, I like to talk, don't I? So yeah, thanks for giving me space to just chat on. But yeah, I've absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Okay, so so two things. Where can people find you on social media? And then also, where can they donate? And how can they help with Kairos Initiative?
Okay, so the Kairos Initiative, our website is thekairosinitiative.org. Kairos is Kairos. Whole story about that another time. But the Kairos Initiative, and then .org. And me, I'm just EJ McDougall. You can see how my name is spelt on the thing, and it's McDougall, which is not a very Nigerian name, obviously. But yeah, so on Facebook, I have a page. I have my personal page, EJ McDougall. I have my public page, EJ McDougall blog. On Instagram, I need to improve on Instagram. I think it's the same thing. I think I called myself Ice Blue at some point or something.
It's Ice Blue. Yes, Ice Blue.
Oh yeah, well there you go. You find again, some nickname from secondary school or something. And then LinkedIn McDougall. So yeah, I think I'm quite easy to find. It's not a name you come across very often.
Right, and tell us just one more time, please. How do we give?
So on the website, on the Kairos Initiative website, there is a
Mhm.
donate button, but also PayPal. So like our email address for PayPal is info@thekairosinitiative.org. All of that information is on our website. We have actually a Facebook page, which is probably easier. So if you look for
Yeah.
us, and we're just called the Kairos Initiative on Facebook. If you join our Facebook group, which is really, you see what
Okay.
we're doing, we put all our pictures there. People who want to sort of help us with the projects we're doing or be part of it in some way, they're in it's called Friends of Kairos. So it's probably easier to
Right.
just go to Friends of Kairos on Facebook, and everything is there. But thank you so
Amazing.
much. Thank
Fantastic.
you. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, not a problem, not a problem. So as we always close out, right? Mindset matters most. And remember, right? You change your mindset, you change your money. You change your mindset, you change your money. You change your mindset, you change your money. And that's it. Have a wonderful day. Aloha.